You've been here before. You're standing in front of someone. You've met them more than once. And their name? Nothing. Not even close. Not on the tip of your tongue. Just gone. And then comes the performance. Those few seconds where you pretend everything is under control. You nod, you smile, you stall. And in your head, one thought, please let someone say their name. But here's what matters. If you often forget names, it doesn't mean you don't care. And it definitely doesn't mean you're not intelligent. There's a very specific reason this happens. And once you understand it, the guilt starts to fade. Think about what's happening when you meet someone new. Your brain isn't focused on one thing, it's doing everything at once. You're reading their face, listening to their tone, trying to understand who they are. At the same time, you're thinking about yourself, how you sound, how you look, what you're going to say next. And right in the middle of all that, they tell you their name. One word, no context, no meaning, no connection. It just appears and disappears. And here's where it gets interesting. There's a well-known psychological effect called the Baker-Baker paradox. It shows something simple. If you're told someone is a baker, you'll probably remember it because your brain builds connections. Bread, warmth, early mornings. But if baker is just their name, nothing. Same word, different result. Because your brain doesn't prioritize labels, it prioritizes meaning. And there's another detail most people overlook. When you forget a name, it's often not a memory problem at all. It's attention. There's a phenomenon called the next in line effect. It shows that when people are preparing what they're about to say, they remember less of what was just said because mentally they've already moved forward. And if you tend to overthink in conversations, you're almost always in that state. You're monitoring yourself. Am I saying the right thing? Do I sound confident? Did I interrupt? So when the name is introduced, you're not fully there to receive it. So let's reframe this. You don't have a bad memory. You have a busy mind. But there's another side to this. When someone's name is forgotten, it can sting. It can feel like I didn't matter enough to be remembered, even if that's not true at all. Because here's what's actually happening. The person who forgot your name might still remember you. How you spoke, what you said, how the interaction felt. They remember the experience, just not the label. And that's because memory is not a recording. It's a filter. It keeps what feels meaningful, emotional, connected, and quietly lets go of the rest. Some people, especially, have a very associative kind of memory. They remember stories, details, expressions. They might remember what someone wore years ago, but the name, gone, because their brain was focused on everything else. And that's not a flaw. It's a different kind of wiring, one that's often better at understanding people than labeling them. Of course, you can train this. Repeat the name, connect it to something familiar, create a mental image. You're basically doing manually what your brain didn't do automatically. Building a connection, but what you don't need is the guilt, that quiet belief that forgetting names means you don't care, because that's not true. You're not someone who ignores people. You're someone whose attention gets pulled inward, someone trying to navigate the moment, and sometimes that means missing the least meaningful detail, because in the end, a name is just a label. But what you remember, how someone felt, how they spoke, the impression they left, that's who they really were to you. And that part, you didn't forget it, not even for a second. If this resonated with you, subscribe to Seer Mind, leave a like, and tell me in the comments. Do you often forget names? I'd love to hear your experience.